We have a new expansion for Northgard Uncharted lands, and this is called the Uncharted Horizons expansion. It's going to be adding new clans and creatures that you can just mix into the game, which is going to add even more challenges and more asymmetry between the players. But if you'd rather not play with other players, there is also a solo mode that's introduced with this, and there are going to be a few different modules that you can just mix and match into the game however you like. If you're not familiar with the original game, this is a Viking-themed 4X game, which is based on the Northgard video game. This is a game that features deck building, dice rolling, variable player powers, as well as a modular board that does get built as you play. Players are going to be gaining victory points by exploring the different areas, fighting each other, and controlling different territories. In order to do all this, players are going to be playing cards to take their actions, and all the players do start with the same identical base deck, but more cards can be added based on whichever clan that you're playing as, and players are going to be adding a new card into their hand at the end of each turn, but it's the player who passes first that's going to get first choice amongst the cards. The different icons on the cards indicate the different types of actions that they grant you, and some of these actions can allow you to add new tiles onto the board, add units onto the board, or move those units around, and you're going to be triggering a combat anytime that you have units in a location with an opposing player. Whenever this happens, each player is going to be rolling a die, and there's different outcomes that you can roll that can either add strength to your side or just straight up kill opposing units. Killed units are immediately removed from the board, but it's the most strength that's going to be winning the battle, and then any other remaining units from the losing side are just going to have to retreat to an adjacent location. These little hammers grant you with a build action, which allows you to build your different buildings out on areas that you control, which will grant you with bonuses in those locations. There's also cards that grant you with different resources, and there's apples which are required to feed your units at the end of each round, but you can also spend the apples during a battle in order to increase your overall strength. The other main resource is the wood resource, which is spent in order to build those various buildings, but then there's also cards that you can acquire that have some special abilities or unique effects whenever you use them, and these effects will just be outlined on the card. The game comes to an end after 7 rounds, or when a player controls 3 regions that each also have their largest buildings in them. If that's the case, then that player wins the game. Otherwise, it's the player with the most points after those 7 rounds. And if you do want to check this one out, I will have it linked down below.